Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of VFAHT's podcast series. I'm Lamia Sahiban, your host for today, and with me I have Dr. Komal. She is a senior registrar working at JPMC in Ward M7. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Komal. How are you?
Welcome, Islam. I'm good. What about you?
Alhamdulillah. Ma'am, let's start this podcast by giving the basic overview of what hepatitis is, the types, and how it spreads.
First of all, I would like to say thank you for inviting me here. As we all know, what is hepatitis? Hepatitis is basically inflammation of liver that will affect the liver, and there will be manifestation of the liver as per the cause of the disease. As you have, we already know there are different type of hepatitis. It is called by hepatitis A, E, B, C, D. These are different types of hepatitis. We have some of them are not fatal and some of them are fatal. Like hepatitis A and E, they are transmitted via uncleaned, contaminated food or water. And hepatitis B, C, and hepatitis D, they are lethal and fatal to the life that can cause major health issues. But hepatitis E, in some cases, like 1% of the patient may end up in developing acute hepatic failure that will result in they might need a liver transplant as well. Some of the patient, especially like a patient of childbearing and pregnant patient, they may end up in having hepatitis E, and that will result in acute hepatic failure that may result in the termination of pregnancy, and that could be injurious to the mother as well. While hepatitis B and C, they initially present with the acute presentation like a simple viral infections, but in later life they can result in chronic liver disease that will, so the patient may present with different symptoms. Most of our patients don't land in the hospital in an acute condition, so we may try offer the treatment, but they usually present with the complications.
Ma'am, the audience would like to know who is at risk of contracting hepatitis.
You see, we all are at risk of developing hepatitis. It could be hepatitis A, E, B, C, D. Hepatitis A and E are transmitted via contaminated food and water. If you and I are consuming have contaminated food particle or contaminated water, then we are at risk of developing hepatitis A and E. If we are pricked by any contaminated needles, any for sharp objects, then we can contract hepatitis B and C as well. If the patient has developed hepatitis B, he is at risk of developing hepatitis D as well. Not be cannot infect the patient without hepatitis B, as hepatitis D does not have their envelope, so they need hepatitis B. So you know by this, if you have B, hey, you or any of the patient have B, they are at increased risk of developing hepatitis D as well. So everyone who use contaminated food, contaminated water, they are at risk of developing hepatitis A and D. If any patient who is infected with contaminated needles, sharp objects like nail cutters or shaving kit, they are at risk of developing hepatitis B and C. We as a healthcare professional, we are also at risk of developing the infection, including hepatitis B, C, D, and many others.
Right. So, ma'am, what are some signs and symptoms you should look out for?
Basically, the hepatitis infection initially presents as an acute viral infection. The patient may land up with the complaint of fever, generalized body weakness. He or she may present with the vague body aches. And initially in hepatitis A and D, they usually present with the yellowish discoloration that is called as jaundice as well. But if the patient has developed fulminant hepatic failure, they may present with the hepatic encephalopathy, that is unconsciousness, bleeding from many orifices, bleeding per rectally. They may develop bruising and unconsciousness as well.
Right. Moving on to preventative measures, what are some precautionary measures people can take to keep themselves secure from contracting hepatitis?
As we know, the hepatitis A and E is transmitted via contaminated food particles and water. So, first of all, we need to drink clean water and have clean food. Avoid outside food as much as possible. If you are consuming food or junk food outside, try to take it from an healthy authenticated area, so you decrease the risk of developing hepatitis A and D. And for hepatitis B and C, for hepatitis B we have vaccine that has been working for many years, and it is very effective. Most of the doctors who have been practicing for more than 3 decades, they doesn't have contracted hepatitis B because they got themselves vaccinated once in their life. There are 3 doses that you can take. Children who are born after 2000, they are getting their vaccination via EPI program, but as we are before 2000, so we need to get the hepatitis B vaccination. With the hepatitis B vaccination, there is less than 10% chances of getting hepatitis B. To reduce the risk even to zero, you need to get booster every 5 yearly or every 10 yearly according to the hepatitis B surface and antibody titers. For hepatitis C, you have to take the precautions. What precautions we need to take? Avoid unnecessary injections. We have trend of using unnecessary injections and using unnecessary like sharp objects or sharing sharp objects. If you are using if the person is going to barber, they should ask them to change the blade in front of them, clean the blade, or if the clean the scalpel as well. For if the patient is going for any injectable, they should ask them to open the needle or syringe in front of them, use disposable syringes. These are all the preventive measure we can offer. If you are going for transfusion, you should get the blood from an authenticated lab who have greater screening technique, because hepatitis C cannot be transmitted via any other route other than blood transmission, and it is secreted in the bodily fluids as well. So if the any patient who is having hepatitis B or C, they should get their partners vaccinated for hepatitis B, and for hepatitis C they should get treated. If the hepatitis C is treated in early, there are less chances of relapsing of the disease, and there are less chances of developing the chronic liver disease or decompensated liver disease because of the hepatitis C.
What steps should someone take if they suspect that they have hepatitis?
Which kind of hepatitis?
Just generally, because सारे hepatitis they have the same symptoms, right? More or less, या सबके
More
थोड़े
or
distinct
yeah,
होते हैं.
in acute stages, most of the patient have similar symptoms. For hepatitis A and E, if patient have developed just hepatitis, so there are some precautions like they should not consume any food or any medication that can halt the liver. More than that, like you need to take rest, you need proper hydration, you need proper diet, and you should take some rest as well, because in some conditions the viral infections are like lethal, as in hepatitis E sometimes may be fatal or fulminant. If patient is having fulminant hepatic failure, how you can say if it is fulminant? If he is losing his consciousness, he is having bruises all over the body, he or she is having bleeding from any orifices, so they should get admitted in the hospital, because fulminant hepatitis cannot be managed at home. With acute hepatitis, it can be managed with the adequate hydration, rest, and adequate diet at home. If the patient is having fever or any body aches, they can take an antipyretics and painkillers. And if the patient have developed acute hepatitis because of B or C, they should be managed with the same. If the patient is not bleeding or any other symptom, they can be managed at home as well. But for hepatitis B and C, they need to be followed up. As you know, hepatitis C need treatment if it is detectable. For depending upon the patient might need 3 months regime or 6 months regime. It will depend upon the overall condition of the patient. For hepatitis B, as you know, hepatitis B virus infection, in fact, that is incorporated in our DNA. It is in DNA virus. So it is very difficult to treat hepatitis B. So for hepatitis B, if we are vaccinated, so we are at safe side. But if the patient develop hepatitis B, we need to keep them in a loop for the like long duration. Some of the patient might need treatment, some of the patient become immune tolerant and they clear the virus themselves. But as the hepatitis B is a DNA virus, the DNA of the virus remain in our incorporated in our hepatocytes, there are chances they might reoccur in later life when the patient become old, or he or she develop diabetes or any other condition that that result in immunocompromisation, that then the virus can reappear as well.
So, ma'am, what do you have to say for the burden of hepatitis in Pakistan?
Hepatitis burden, it's been like more than 12 million, and it's been adding up to the birth like 1 lakh 1 to 1.5 lakh each year. In fact, I really think this is just tip of the iceberg, because we belong to a country where we are in economical uncertainties, and most of our patients who are suffering from hepatitis, they belong to low socioeconomic status. I have seen many patients who are already suffering from hepatitis B and C. Whenever I ask them to get their families, their partners tested and vaccinated, they are reluctant. This is all because of the cost. So I really feel what we see is just tip of the iceberg. Most of the patient are just like undiagnosed, untreated. Might some of them being may end up in like dying at their home because they are not diagnosed or treated. They don't have facilities in their hometown for the treatment, or they don't have enough money to bring the patient to the tertiary care centers.
So, ma'am, what do you think the government can do to facilitate support for hepatitis patients and the campaigns and policies that they can put into place to spread awareness regarding the disease?
See, government is trying their best, as we have hepatitis program. With that program, we offer the treatment for hepatitis C and B, that's free. But still, we need to do mass screening for the of the patients, like who are living in the distant areas, in the villages where there is no any kind of concept of transmission, safety measures like screening. So we should screen as much as possible, because if you don't screen them, they are going to live their life as they are living. They won't end up in the hospital if they are not having any kind of symptoms or just general weakness symptoms. So we need to do the mass screening, we need to get them tested, we need to emphasize them to take vaccines, because in some of the areas there are still taboos to get vaccinated. So we have to counsel them, we have to ensure that vaccine is for their safety. It will not halt their fertility, and it does not have anything else in the vaccine. It's just for their sake of safety, nothing else.
So, what do you think is the main cause of such a high hepatitis burden in Pakistan, apart from the financial restrictions and constraints, and like you mentioned, the taboos surrounding the stigmas and taboos surrounding vaccinations? Uske alawa, what do you think is stopping us from, eradicating hepatitis?
Basically, I really feel this is the most of the time there's most of the patients are illiterate. They don't understand what the actually disease is. They really feel it's just like in fever, it is just like a fever that will last for a few days and they will be fine after some day. But it's not like that. We need to educate them. The literacy rate is so low. They are not literate to know enough the what the actually disease is. This is not just one time disease. If like you have a malaria, you will take anti-malarial and you will be quite fine in 3 to 5 days. No, hepatitis is not like that. If the patient have hepatitis C or B, this is going to stay for longer duration. If you don't treat the hepatitis C, for hepatitis B, it is going to stay with the patient his whole life. So we have to educate them, treat them, and test them as much as possible.
In over your years of practice, have you encountered any misconceptions surrounding hepatitis?
Yeah, so many. Like if the patient is having acute hepatitis, they are used to like they will be consuming boiled food. Some of them are wearing some like what's that wooden, I don't know what's that called, गले में उन्होंने लगाया होता है, I don't know what's it. They used to feel कि हमने दम कराया है, उसके साथ जो है हमारा हेपेटाइटिस सही हो गया. एक पेशेंट ने तो कुछ कोई जानवर या कोई परिंदा गर्म करके पेट पे लगाया हुआ था. आई डोंट नो, आई हैव सीन सो मेनी मिसकंसेप्शंस. Like you कैन हैव हेपेटाइटिस विद द वैक्सीन. There are so many, I can't tell you how many I have been encountered.
So, ma'am,
Yeah.
would you like to share any patient experiences or any experience that you've had with a patient that has moved you or left an impact?
Yeah, I have seen many patients, like young patient who had previously had hepatitis B. They developed later on hepatitis D, but they ended in relapsing the disease. And I have seen them crying in front of us because we are helpless. We don't have any other options. Like either they should go for liver transplantation if they have developed decompensated liver disease, or we have just pegylated interferon, because in relapsing patient there are least likely chances that they can clear the hepatitis D with the pegylated interferon. I have seen many patients. Some of the families come for follow up. They are like hepatitis suffering from hepatitis B. You see, most of the patient who develop hepatitis B, it can be transmitted via mother to fetus as well. If the patient is pregnant, she should be get tested before getting pregnant, or if she is still pregnant, so we can also treat the pregnant patient as well. We have some medications that are given in the third trimester if their viral load is more than 2 lakhs, and if the patient is having hepatitis B infection and viral load is more than 2 lakhs, so the patient's baby need to get the vaccine and immunoglobulins, as well as immunoglobulins at the time of birth or immediately within 24 hours, so the transmission risk will be reduced significantly. Most of the in fact Some of my family members have encountered this situation as well. Some of the doctor actually don't know how to treat, especially the GPs who actually don't know how to treat hepatitis B in pregnant patient. So they should refer the patient to the special clinics, or the gynec should refer the patient to the clinics. So they should be treated in their third trimester, so we can limit the transmission rate, and the babies should be vaccinated and they should be given immunoglobulins as soon as after birth or delivery of the patient.
Right. So, ma'am, since we're on the topic of pregnancy and transmission via mother to the fetus, what do you have to say about hepatitis E? Like you mentioned that there are some new vaccinations regarding hepatitis E.
Yeah, as we know, the patient at developing hepatitis E are at risk. 1 to 2% of the patient are developing at risk of fulminant hepatic failure. And but if patient is pregnant, so there are higher chances she might develop or end up in developing hepatic failure. So the females who are of childbearing age, well, data on the vaccination during pregnancy is still not available because it's a new vaccine. There are still getting, and we are still collecting the information and data how much safe it is during the pregnancy. We don't have actual data, but the patient who are like we are in childbearing age, so we should get ourselves vaccinated. This is the same vaccine like hepatitis D. We should get 3 doses, and we can prevent ourselves from hepatitis E infections.
And I think you mentioned earlier this vaccine is not available in Pakistan as of yet.
No, this is available. This is available. This is not available via the government program. As we know, there is a government program in the for the children. We get pentavalent vaccines at the time of birth, and that is scheduled up to 6 months or 6 weeks. But the hepatitis E vaccine is not freely available via government programs.
Ma'am, let's move on towards the latest developments in the treatment of hepatitis. Has there been any latest researches, or how has treatment of hepatitis evolved over the years?
Treatment of hepatitis is being evolving. We have like previously we have like different type of genotypes for hepatitis C. Previously they were targeting some type of hepatitis like genotype 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But now we have pain genotypical that will eradicate all type of hepatitis, that will be acting against it. We have some good medication that will treat the hepatitis C, like patient may develop hepatitis C once in life and they get treated initially so they don't relapse the disease. This is because of the hepatitis C treatment. Like we have different type of agent like velpatasvir, declatasvir, and sofosbuvir. They are being given to the patient who present early for 3 months. It's like one pill once a day for 3 months, and they are free from hepatitis C. But you still need to follow them. For hepatitis B, it's still like difficult to treat because the patient are usually unable to clear the viral load. So it's being still under investigation or like under research to develop the cure of hepatitis B. We are still unable to cure it. For hepatitis D, previously it was being treated with pegylated interferon, but it has relapse of like 10 to it has like treatment response in the 30 to 40%, but there was still relapse in the hepatitis D. But we have now few agents, but unfortunately they are not available in Pakistan. So for hepatitis D we are still struggling, so it's better to prevent before developing the infection.
Right. Ma'am, what are your future hopes for hepatitis and how it is and how to handle it in the future to reduce its transmission?
See, this time it's the agenda for hepatitis, World Hepatitis Days. It's time to take action. Treat early as much as possible for hepatitis C and get yourself vaccinated as much as possible, and try to convey this message to everyone whom you meet. Like, get yourself vaccinated, don't share the sharp objects because it can transmit these kind of infections. So for today's message is take away or take home messages: get yourself treated and get yourself vaccinated as much as possible.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Do you have some message for organizations like PHH and VFAHT who are working towards spreading awareness regarding hepatitis?
Yeah, these organizations are doing such a great work. We need more organization like them to help the patient in the awareness as well as providing them treatment. We should screen like mass screening and provide them vaccine mass vaccination. After this, we with this the help of mass screening and vaccination, we might achieve our target to keep the hepatitis free Pakistan, hepatitis free Pakistan up to till like 2030. The WHO has target of clearing eradicating hepatitis from Pakistan up to 2030, but as fast we are transmitting the disease, there are least hope that we can achieve this target. But with the mass screening and vaccination, it might be possible.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time. It was really nice having you here.